AI tools can analyze enormous amounts of data in very little time, especially compared to us humans, right? And this is one of the most powerful ways of using AI. Right? There are two main ways of looking at this, right? You can analyze either text or data. They do this in different ways. So let's talk about text first, right? Any text you give to an AI, whether it goes out and finds it for you, or you give it a big PDF, or even you sort of copy and paste a whole bunch of stuff in that you wrote yourself, right? It can analyze for you, right? Any type of analysis that you could think of, you can ask about that and it will do it, and it will do it very well. Sometimes though, the most powerful thing for me is not to tell it to do a specific type of analysis, but to ask it, what are the best ways to analyze this? What are the most interesting ways of looking at this data or this text, right? And it will then give it will read it, it will analyze it, and it's like, oh, here's a couple of different ways that we could look at this that could be interesting. Would you like me to do one of these? And I typically say, yes, do all of them, because I can, right? And within a minute or so, I mean, it takes me much longer to read its output than it takes the AI to write it, right? I will have a whole bunch of very interesting ways of analyzing this text, right? And this has changed how I work in many ways, right? So for example, I do some surveys of students at Tulane where we ask about AI use. And because I have these tools now that can help me analyze large amounts of text, I have started incorporating more and more open-ended questions, right? So it's not just on a scale from 0 to 10, how much do you know about AI, right? We have some of those too, but it's things like, what are some things you have used AI to do that you were happy with the results of, right? Or what are some things you tried to use AI to do, but somehow failed, right? So we do this and we get hundreds and hundreds of students replying. We get this enormous, I've had like 100-page of text just for one of these questions, right? Because so many students have answered, right? And being able then to use an AI tool to analyze this, categorize the answers, do, for example, a sentiment analysis, finding out like how many of these are positive or negative or neutral, right? What are the most common problems students have when working with AI, right? It's an incredibly useful thing that enables me to sort of update my teaching and say, like, here's this area where a lot of students are saying they would like to be able to use AI to do this, but they haven't been able to it. Let's create a workshop to help them learn how to do that, right? So that's a text analysis. And for text, the AI sort of uses, they'll use the knowledge and understanding, or whatever you want to call it, that it has, and apply that to the text you give them. But the next step is even more impressive, which is how to use AI to analyze data, right? Because in addition to giving AI tools text, you can give them data, right? You can give them, for example, a spreadsheet of data. Some are better at this than others, but if you stick to, for example, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, you have no problem taking any sort of a spreadsheet, for example, saving it as a CSV file, uploading it, and having this AI tool read this whole thing, and then you can ask similar questions, right? Like, what are the best ways to analyze this data? What are the most interesting insights we can get from this data? Basic things like, give me all the basic statistics, the averages, and all that. And what the AI does when it works in this that's different is that it doesn't just think. What it actually does is that it will write and run code. So it will call on an external tool and it will write code, typically Python code, to analyze this data, and then it will run through this code with the data and analyze everything that it decides to do and give you an output at the end, which is an incredibly powerful way of analyzing data in ways that most people could not do it without it. And because it uses an external tool that uses plain old coding and math, you can also see that the outputs are accurate, because otherwise the numbers wouldn't add up and you would get an error message. When you do get an error message, you'll see the AI model saying, oh, something didn't work, I got an error message. let me look into this. Oh, I found the error, let me do this again. And then it runs everything again, and you get an output at the bottom, and you can ask it to check that, and it will be able to do that. So analyzing both text and data are very important areas where AI can be very useful.